Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jam Vishpad Paramahamsa Prabhajikacharya Sotar Sata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Sramaveda Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shishi Guru and Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasnaya Bhatale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharne Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarne. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We have the great privilege of hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam this morning. 10th Canto, Chapter 13, Brahma Stills, the Boys and Calves, text number 40. Tavade Yatma Bhuratma, Tavade Yatma Bhuratma, Manena Trutyane Hasa. Puravadadham Kridantam Dadrishe Sakalam Harim Tavade Yatma Bhur Atma Manena Trutyane Hasa. Puravadabdham Kridantam Dadrishe Sakalam Harim Tavade Yatma Bhuratma Manena Trutyane Hasa. Puravadhabdham Kridantam Dadrishe Sakalam Harim. Tavade Yatma Bhuratma Manena Trutyane Hasa. Purvadabdam Kridantam Dadrishe Sakalam Harim. Tavade Yatma Bhuratma Manena Trutyane Hasa. Puravadabdam Kridantam Dadrishe Sakalam Harim. Mataji's. Tavade yatma bhuratma manena trutyane hasa Puravadabdam kridantam dadrishe sakalam harim Tavade yatma bhuratma manena trutyane hasa Purvadabdam kridantam dadrishe sakalam harim. Synonyms. Tava, for so long. Etya, after returning. Atmabhu, Lord Brahma. Atmamanena, by his, Brahma's, own measurement. Tuti anehasa, by a moment's time. Paravat, just as previously. Abdam, for 1 year, by human measurement of time. Kridantam, playing. Dadrishe, he saw. Sakalam, along with his expansions. Harim, Lord Hari. Sri Krishna. Translation. When Lord Brahma returned after a moment of time had passed, according to his own measurement, he saw that although by human measurement a complete year had passed, Lord Krishna, after all that time, was engaged just as before in playing with the boys and calves who were his expansions. Please repeat. When Lord Brahma returned, after a moment of time had passed, according to his own measurement, he saw that although by human measurement a complete year had passed, Lord Krishna, after all that time, was engaged just as before in playing with the boys and calves who were his expansions. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma had gone away for only a moment of his time, but when he returned, a year of human time had passed. On different planets, the calculation of time is different. To give an example, a man-made satellite may orbit the Earth in an hour and 25 minutes, and thus complete 1 full day. Although a day ordinarily takes 24 hours for those living on Earth. Therefore, what was but a moment for Brahma was 1 year on Earth. Krishna continued to expand himself in so many forms for 1 year, but by the arrangement of Yogamaya, no one could understand this but Balaram. After 1 moment of Brahma's calculation, Brahma came back to see the fun caused by stealing the boys and calves. But he was also afraid that he was playing with fire. Krishna was his master, and he had played mischief for fun by taking away Krishna's calves and boys. He was really anxious, so he did not stay away very long. He came back after a moment of his calculation. When Brahma returned, he saw that all the boys, calves, and cows were playing with Krishna in the same way as when he had come upon them. By Krishna's display of Yogamaya, the same pastimes were going on without any change. On the day when Lord Brahma had first come, Baladev could not go with Krishna and the cowherd boys, for it was his birthday, and his mother had kept him back for the proper ceremonial bath called Santika Shnan. Therefore, Lord Baladev was not taken by Brahma at that time. Now 1 year later, Brahma returned, and because he returned on exactly the same day, Baladeva was again kept at home for his birthday. Therefore, although this verse mentions that Brahma saw Krishna and all the cowherd boys, Baladeva is not mentioned. It was 5 or 6 days earlier that Baladeva had inquired from Krishna about the extraordinary affection of the cows and cowherd men. But now, when Brahma returned, Brahma saw all the calves and cowherd boys playing with Krishna as expansions of Krishna, but he did not see Baladeva. As in the previous year, Lord Baladeva did not go to the woods on the day Lord Brahma appeared there. Srila Prabhupada ki. If we could pray together, hoping for some mercy to descend. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shiva Shakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karana Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostite Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabhana Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakopatarubhyascha Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The plot thickens. Lord Brahma has come back. He had some fun for a moment, and then the realization came, what have I done? Stealing my master's calves and cowherd boyfriends. He was full of anxiety. Now, can any of us relate with that? I'm kind of a jokester. Those who know me well are not surprised by that statement. And sometimes my jokes can get me in trouble. I'll make fun of my dearest friends and then realize a moment later, what did I just say? Did I just insult my friend? I mean, sometimes we don't think twice before acting. Maybe it's a small lesson we can learn from Lord Brahma. In fact, we're spending a couple of weeks at least, 2 or 3 weeks, on churning the fact that Lord Brahma really screwed up. And why did he screw up? I mean, many aspiring devotee, I'll count myself among them, can fall victim to thinking there's some juice, some nectar, and chewing on the faults and shortcomings of other devotees or other people. The Madhvas, they won't even describe this pastime because they don't want to commit offense to the founder of our sampradaya, Lord Brahma. They're that careful, that hesitant. But that's not the mood of the followers of Rupa Goswami, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We understand, as the gopis have said in the 10th canto, that the Ishwaras, the great personalities, they may do something that may appear to be sinful or wrong. But their activity is not the same as yours and mine. They are not under the same jurisdiction or the same extent of the effect of the laws of nature. Their exaltedness or their connection to the Lord can burn up misgivings or misdeeds very quickly. And this is certainly the case with Lord Brahma. He's setting the perfect example for us. He messed up. But then what did he do? When he realized he was humiliated by the Lord, shown for what a fool he was, then he fell down before the Lord, began to say prayers, sincerely repenting his stupidity. And this is the perfect example for us aspiring devotees. We don't want to just sweep under the rug when we fall short in devotional service and, not think about it or just try to avoid the consequences or the importance of learning when we fall short. To err is human, Srila Prabhupada said, quoting that quote, but to learn. The saying is to forgive is divine, but to learn. We're talking about the performer of a misdeed, to learn from our mistakes. It's the building blocks of success. And Lord knows it's a long path back home, back to Godhead. As Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, strewn with many thorns. There are many obstacles and many lessons to be learned along the way before we become qualified to receive such mercy that Lord Brahma saw that the Vrajvasis had in lovingly playing with Krishna, lovingly serving Krishna, lovingly disrespecting Krishna. It's stated sometimes they would even, the running and touching, but wrestling, hitting. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said sometimes they would even kick each other. No sadhaka, no devotee in reverence in his right mind would do that. Bhrigu Muni comes to mind. He kicked the chest of Lord Vishnu. Pretty bold. But he had been deputed by the sages. And the result of it would be that Lord Vishnu's supremacy would be understood and glorified. The devotees do so many wonderful things and even misdeeds so that you and I can learn from them. Srila Sanatana Goswami makes that very clear in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. The pure devotees, if the Lord desires, if Yoga Maya desires, they will play the fool. They will do that which they should not have done ordinarily so that you and I can learn from the lesson. So there's so many wonderful points. I was going to, I think, talk about chewing on devotees, fault finding. Raghunath Das Goswami says, it's like taking a bath. What's wrong with taking a bath? Well, it depends what you bathe in. Fault finding the devotees is like taking a bath in the urine of a donkey. Not very purifying. And sometimes we think it's righteous. This is what Srila Prabhupada wants us to do. We have to change this devotee. We have to punish this devotee. We have to keep the society above board and on the straight and narrow path back to Godhead in preaching. If one has the service of managing and correcting devotees, one does so very reluctantly and hopefully only in the proper mood of this is for your benefit. I want to see you grow. My desire is that you stay in and grow in Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada's father would say like that when he would chastise his son. I'm sorry, son, but I have to correct you. It's my service. This is the mood of any bona fide spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada one time said to a disciple, I'm not the master of anyone. You can consider me your spiritual father. So of course he's our Lord and Master. We sing it every day in Guru Puja. Every day. This is unique. It's unheard of in the history of our Gaudiya Vaishnavism. But Srila Prabhupada knew we slow, dull, misguided, aspiring devotees in Kali Yuga, we have to keep to the point. The spiritual master is our Lord and Master. He's the representative of Krishna. He's as worshipable as Krishna. My life should be given in service to the representative of Krishna. And if I please him by that service, then there is hope that with the blessings, certainly there is hope, but with the blessings of the spiritual masters, one can get the eternal service of the Lord. So the first thing, no, let's chew on the, did you, by the way, hear also, he ran off after his daughter in the beginning of creation? Man, that's child abuse. We don't even want to go there. How fallen that is. Or how about the time he got cursed by his wife? Was it Saraswati? He was supposed to be performing a yajna. The auspicious time was about to pass, and the Brahmins are going, come on, Brahmaji, we're gonna lose the auspicious time. It won't have the results we desire. I can't do the yajna without my wife. She's putting her makeup on. What can I do? Well, we need to find another wife. Okay. They find Gayatri, an innocent young girl, and they take her. These things are mysterious, if not inconceivable. But the Brahmins, with their potency, they took this girl and they put her through the mouth of the cow and through the body of the cow and out the backside, and then she was completely purified. And he accepted her as his wife. She sat down by his side, and they performed the yajna under the guidance of the Brahmins. Well, here comes Saraswati. Huh? You started without me? And who's this? Why is she sitting in my asana? Well, the Brahmin said, I had to have a wife. We had to start now, and that's what I did. She cursed him, not to be worshipped. Shiva, everybody worships Lord Shiva. Vishnu, lots and lots of people worship Lord Vishnu. Brahma, practically only in, where is it? It starts with the P, Prabhash, what's Pushkar. Basically in Pushkar he's worshipped. There's the temple of Brahma. Footnote, also in Thailand, when you go there, you see a lot of these altars with a four-headed personality called Brahma. They're offering him who knows what, but incense and fruits you see on the altar sometimes. So maybe he's getting some worship from the Malechas in Thailand. But basically, he was cursed. And here this offense to the Lord and the Vrajvasis was worse than Indra's, who tried to kill Krishna and the Vrajvasis. Why? Because Lord Brahma separated the Lord from his friends. If he had not expanded himself and stayed by them in his, yoga Maya potency, he would have been suffering tremendously, as would have Balaram if he had known what the gig was. These aren't my friends, these are Krishna. He would have been feeling the separation so intensely. What to speak of the boys, if they were awake and conscious? They would have been burning in the fire, that separation. That's a hellish offense, very serious. Much more so than Indra's bringing the Vrajvasis all together under the shelter of Govardhan Hill. So he's messed up seriously in his lifetime. But let's keep things in proper perspective. We're talking about time in this verse and in the first paragraph of the purport. His life is 311 trillion 40 billion years long. That's a long lifetime according to Earth time calculations. So he skipped off, but just for a moment before he realized, nah, this doesn't seem like a good idea after all, and came back. Well, a year had passed. So time is relative. Last couple of days in my bathroom, when I turn on the light getting up, there's these little tiny bugs. They almost look like termites. I don't think they are. And I know they're not going to hang around very long because I find their bodies laying on the shelves, the sink, etc. So their 100 years goes by just like that. Just like Srila Prabhupada gave the example of the satellite. It can go around the entire globe in, an hour and 25 minutes. Time is relative. But one thing is for sure, I've been here an extra month and a half than what my plans had been, and it's gone by like that. We're almost in the middle of June. Can you believe that? I mean, time is just flying by, and we don't want to waste it. My friends and I, we were talking, we all heard the encouragement. Lockdown, it's a perfect time to turn our homes into temples. It's a perfect time to increase our hearing and chanting, to go inward in Krishna consciousness. And it certainly has been. But now, 2 months later, 2.5 months later, stop and reflect. How much time are you wasting? Have you become a little lazy in getting up early? Have you become a little lazy about studying, reading Srila Prabhupada's books? For some of you, I could say, I bet you haven't become lazy in looking at the latest headlines of what's going on in the world. Time, it's so precious. In the spiritual world where this pastime took place, well, it's in Gokula, Vrindavan, but it's the transcendence of the Lord's road show. And the devotees, they're totally absorbed in service to Krishna. That's everything. You don't see them looking at a clock when they're doing something for Krishna, because time goes by just like that. The Rasa Leela, for example, they danced for an entire night of Brahma, but the gopis felt like it went by in just a moment. And conversely, in separation from Krishna, a moment seems like a night of Brahma. Time, for all practical purposes as we understand it, doesn't exist in the spiritual world in Goloka Vrindavan. It is simply the total absorption of service to Krishna. And whatever facilitates that, then that is what exists. So there's no past or future. It's simply absorption in thoughts of Krishna, service to Krishna, the love, and all that comes with it in relationship to Krishna. There was also an interesting thing in this purport. Srila Prabhupada made the one-liner where he said, Lord Balaram wasn't present on that day, so Lord Brahma, so he wasn't taken by Brahma at that time. So I found that to be an interesting statement, something to just, let percolate within the consciousness. Because basically, it's safe to say Lord Brahma could not take Balaram unless Balaram allowed him to. Lord Brahma does not have the potency to bewilder Lord Balaram. His potency is like a firefly's compared to the sun. when we speak of Lord Brahma versus Balaram or Krishna. So that was an interesting statement that Srila Prabhupada included in the purport. And there was also another one where it said, everyone was bewildered. No one could understand the arrangement of Yogamaya except for Lord Balaram. We discussed it yesterday. Actually, he only caught on in the last 4 or 5 days, thus readdressing or touching on the point that Krishna is supreme. Only he understood what's going on, except for Balaram in the last 4 or 5 days. Now, we said Lord Brahma lives for 311 trillion, 40 billion years, and the track record that he has is pretty dang good. If that's about all you can throw at him, chased his daughter, he got cursed by his wife, and he foolishly played a prank on Krishna. That's a pretty good track record. In fact, if we go to the positive side, I mean, it reminded me when I was thinking, well, I want to talk about glorification of devotees and fault-finding devotees today. And that pastime crossed my mind. There was a devotee, a brahmachari in the Gaudiya Mutt down the road, and he passed away. Well, it just so happens this devotee was one of those loners. He wasn't very friendly. In fact, he was probably kind of gruff. We've all met that kind of devotee. Bhakta grumpy. Like, Prabhu, come on, lighten up. You're supposed to be happy in Krishna consciousness. But some people carry a heavy weight. Sometimes the mind can cause real pain, suffering, anxiety, or push us in ways that are not, very pleasant. But anyway, this devotee basically didn't have any friends in the mutt, and when he passed away, everybody was happy. Wow! I hope when I leave this world, the chanting and dancing isn't going to be about, thank God he's gone, we got rid of that guy. Hopefully I will not have continued to offend everyone up until the moment of leaving this world. But anyway, Bhaktisiddhanta heard behind the closed doors that they were talking about all his faults, about all the ways that he had disturbed them or upset them. And you have to understand, it's not like Srila Prabhupada, the spiritual masters, are ignorant of the shortcomings that we have. But their overwhelming desire is that we go back home, back to Godhead, that we eternally serve Krishna. They're always praying to Krishna, please accept this young boy or girl, this man or woman. Please accept them as your servant, servant of your servants. That's the mood of a real devotee. And he became upset when he heard them saying all these things about the Prabhu who had just passed away. And he opened up the door and he said, his clothes were always clean. So the advanced devotees, they see the good. It's not that they don't see the bad, but the bad is what it is. We're in the material world. Look at it. We're carrying a carcass, a smelly carcass. I mean, this is a tip for some of the brahmacharis who aren't probably hearing, but there's a thing called soap. There's actually something they call deodorant. I don't say you have to use some Carmi deodorant, but there are things, alum rocks or even a lemon under the underarms. The body is a smelly bag. It's nothing to be proud of. So why should we be? So the little slide in there was, body odor is not a pleasant thing. Hare Krishna. So we shouldn't be surprised when we see the shortcomings of others. Srila Prabhupada took it to the point, don't be surprised when you see somebody leaves Krishna consciousness. We're Nitya Buddha. We're part of we're the fallible lot. We're the ones stuck in the mire of Maya. And those who are trying to climb out of this quicksand, this bog of Maya, of course, they're going to have faults. Or as Srila Prabhupada would sometimes say, Krishna consciousness, the ISKCON movement, it's a hospital. It's full of people who are diseased, who are sick. Don't expect everyone to be walking around like effulgent, pure devotees in perfect health in Krishna consciousness. His advice was, why don't you try tolerating them the way I tolerate you? So Lord Brahma, let's look at the good side. Oh my gosh! Well, first of all, he's our Sampradaya founder, the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. He's the first person in the universe. You can become a Brahma if you want to be, just in case you want to be. You hear how wonderful Satyaloka is. I guarantee you they're not worrying about any virus or flu or what have you in Brahmaloka. There is no disease in Brahmaloka. Heck, you can even stoop down to the heavenly planets. There's no disease there. Sounds pretty attractive. You can even say there's not even old age. But there's this one nasty little thing. You just don't get around it. And that's called death. He's got to die. When Hiranyakashipu asked for immortality, he said, I can't give that. I don't possess it. I may live a long life, 311 trillion, 40 billion years, but at the end of it all, I have to give up the body. Everybody does. One who takes birth, death is certain. We don't want to fall into the next category. For one who dies, birth is certain. We don't want to take on another body. So we don't care how attractive it sounds. The heavenly planets, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Maharloka, Brahmaloka. No, we've done the sightseeing. We've heard the good and the bad. And by the grace of the spiritual masters and the devotees, we've heard about Goloka. Lord Brahma, the most qualified human in the universe. He's the most authoritative, there are statements by Srila Prabhupada in the second canto. Why? Because he's a direct disciple of Krishna. Direct disciple. He's so glorious, he's mentioned in the very first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. What is it? Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavye. No one there. It's just him in the darkness and the waves of the gigantic ocean that he finds the lotus swaying back and forth in. So the Lord from within his heart initiated him. This is how qualified he is. He took initiation from Krishna. And we hear description of that in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. We also hear it in the pages of Sri Brahma Samhita. I'm no scholar, and I take shelter of the advanced devotees who realize these things. I aspire to anyway, for proper understanding. From the second canto, we get that he heard the two syllables, 6th and the 21st sparsha syllables, I believe, ta-pa. And he understood that it meant perform austerities. Now, this is not the austerities of the Gyanis. Even the Karmis undertake great austerities. Or the yogis. No, this is devotional service. That's what we talk about when we hear of Lord Brahma's penance, his austerities. So what was his austerity? Brahma Samhita says that he heard from the Lord, Krishnaya, Govindaya, Gopijana Vallabhaya, Swaha. And he began to meditate on that mantra, which is non-different from the form of the Lord. This was his devotional penance. And he purified himself because of it. First of all, he followed what he was supposed to do. He took up the instruction, he took up the service. And then as a result of the purification, what takes place? Who can imagine how sweet that sound of Krishna's flute is? Inconceivable. Who can imagine? Even Brahma, Shiva, the exalted persons of this universe, when they hear that flute being played by Krishna, they can't understand the complexities of the ragas and the notes that he plays on his flute. It's the same flute, has the same scale of notes like anybody else's, but in the hands of Krishna, at the lips of Krishna, it plays the most incredible, heart-stealing tunes. And Lord Brahma heard that flute from Krishna. This is a funny side note. When I was a young bhakta in Dallas Temple, there was a devotee there, word got around, he said he heard Krishna's flute. And he seemed like an advanced devotee. Actually, he seemed like a self-realized devotee. But hearing Krishna's flute, you don't hear Krishna's flute with your mundane ears. You hear it with your spiritual senses. You hear it from within the heart if the Lord reveals it. And he did. Brahma heard the sound of Krishna's flute. And from the sound of Krishna's flute, he understood the Gayatri, the Kama Gayatri. And he began to chant Kama Gayatri with his 4 mouths, thus accepting initiation. This is the initiation that Brahma got from Lord Krishna. Now, 2 stories, and I'm sure they intersect. There may be consecutive order to it, or they may be different angles of it. Second canto talks about he had vision, darshan, of Vaikuntha because of the purification of following the Lord's instructions and chanting the mantras, mantra and Gayatri. He saw Vaikuntha, the descriptions in the second canto. He met the Lord face to face, just like today's Srila Prabhupada says, was just as you see me and I see you face to face, you can have the same experience with Krishna. You can see him, you can talk to him, you can play with him, dance with him. Lord Brahma saw Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu was so pleased with him, he shook his hand. Not too shabby. Get to shake the hand. The Lord was pleased, and he extended his hand, shook it. Then also in the Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma wrote 100 chapters of Brahma Samhita. 100 chapters after having his divine realizations in service to Krishna. And I'm going to read a couple of sentences that Bhanu Swami writes about Lord Chaitanya finding this 5th chapter of Brahma Samhita while touring in South India. Bhanu Swami, His Holiness Bhanu Swami. When Lord Chaitanya was in the Adi Keshava temple in South India, he found this 5th chapter of the work called Brahma Samhita. When he found this work, tears came to his eyes. He began trembling and perspiring, and his hair stood on end in ecstasy. He considered this work to express the conclusion of all scriptures and to be the essence of all Vaishnava scriptures. Wow. That's some good writing. That's some deep realizations. And Brahma had them. Chew on him as much as you like, but this stands. We all still. Srila Prabhupada, when he first heard the recording of the devotees, Yamuna Devi and the devotees in London, of the Govindamadi Purusham prayers, he cried. He cried. And some of the devotees thought, this isn't a good idea to play for the deities. It's a woman singing. And they didn't play it. And Prabhupada came back in the LA temple and they didn't have it turned on for green. He said, where's the recording? Well, we thought, no, turn it on. I want it played every day in all the temples. The realizations of Lord Brahma that we hear of in Brahma Samhita, the cream of the absolute truth, none different from Srimad Bhagavatam. That saying comes to mind by Rupa Goswami. How much nectar is in the 2 syllables of Krishna? He can't tell you. He just tells us what the results is when he chants it within his mind and within his heart and his external senses. So how much nectar is there in the Brahma Samhita? In the majority of verses in the 5th chapter, he's continually chanting Govinda's name. And Jiva Goswami makes a real elaborate purport. Krishna and Govinda, the names are the same potency. They're the same absolute truth. Don't think that Govinda is a lesser name because it's describing Krishna's herding cows. No. Chant 1,000 names of Vishnu or one name of Govinda. You get the same result. And he also explains what his position is. As the position of everything else. Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, Kshirodakshai Vishnu, Shiva, Durga Devi, Ganesh, the living entities, the material world, devotional service, and Goloka Vrindavan. In terms of himself, Vasvanyatasma sakaleshu nijeshu teja swiyam kiyat prakatayapyapai tavad atra brahma yesha jagadanda vidana karta govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Brahma says, I worship the Supreme Lord Govinda, who becomes Brahma, the creator of the universe, by bestowing his powers to that jiva, just as the sun displays a small portion of its powers of heat and light, and all the sunstones are jewels which represent it. So he knows he's the eternal servant of Krishna. He knows. And yet, midway through his life, he messed up. And thus we have this pastime. But out of it, there's a verse from the Gopal Tapani Upanishad which says, I, Brahma, meditate and praise him continually. After half my life, I realized him. He appeared in front of me as a male in the dress of a cowherd. In other words, he fully understood that this little boy in the land of Vrindavan, taking care of the calves, and as Pankajanga Prabhu has said, engaged in so much nonsense, frivolous, childish activities, this is my worshipable Lord. He realized it and will never forget it. So in the beginning, he had realizations of Krishna, Krishna consciousness. Midway through his life, he had further realization. It's the nature of Krishna consciousness. It's ever growing and ever expanding. And those who are on his planet, they're fortunate. Bhagavatam explains that because he's a pure Vaishnava, when he leaves this world, he'll go back home, back to Godhead. And all those who are associates of Lord Brahma on his planet, they'll also go with him. Showing how important association is. Because evidently there's an awful lot of Brahmas that aren't devotees of Krishna. They're excellent creators, they're excellent managers of the universe. But Srila Prabhupada says in one purport in the 4th canto, when we fall from the spiritual world, the living entity has a chance to make a quick turnaround. You're given the most qualified situation and circumstances in this world, and that is that of Brahma. The living entity takes birth as Brahma. And from there, it just gets worse and worse and worse. 8 million non-human species to go through repeatedly. So evidently a lot of us don't get it. Even though we had all the externals, and that's something I could have spent a long time on, the externals are not what are important. Duryodhana, he was an excellent king. Citizens were happy, no problem. But he wasn't a devotee of Krishna. Krishna rewards his devotees. He blesses his devotees. He knows the devotees can make auspicious the lives of others, not the non-devotees, no matter how expert they are in the performance of their duties in this world. So we don't want to be satisfied with just the externals. People see, people think, people say, that's an advanced devotee. But either we're pleasing Guru and Krishna or we're not. And if we're harboring other desires, if we're proud, if we're not keeping in the forefront the desire to serve the spiritual master in a way that pleases him, then we may get something less than the gift of prema bhakti, the gift of eternal association of Krishna. That's what Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya are offering. Goloka Premadan, Harinam, Sankirtan, the pure holy names that will reawaken love for Krishna. We may not get that. It's the essence. In fact, the ending prayers of this Brahma Samhita, they are Lord Brahma asking for this gift from the Lord, who was blessing him in his service. He said, text 57, then Mahavishnu spoke to the devotee Brahma, if you desire to create the bodies of living entities and desire knowledge of the Lord, then understand this knowledge given by me through the following 5 verses. This is another gift. Lord Brahma is sharing with us the direct instructions he got from Krishna. In the footnote to Mahavishnu, it says this is actually Krishna. Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, even though the Sanskrit says Mahavishnu, and Jiva Goswami explains why that's the case. But anyway, here's the first verse from the Lord to Brahma. When the soul is awakened by knowledge and devotion, the highest form of bhakti, characterized by bliss and knowledge and endowed with prema for the Lord, will appear. Realizing spontaneously one's own nature as a soul, by constant practice, by following the saintly devotees of the Lord according to the devotional scriptures, the devotee will attain prema bhakti, pure bhakti. Purport says this is the process of sadhana, the gradual process. Follow Guru, Vaishnavas, and Shastra. Do it with the proper mood and mentality of service and humility. You'll get your pure bhakti. One should then attain that type of bhakti, prem, to which there's nothing superior, by which one attains supreme bliss and attains me alone. The secret of getting Krishna in his service, develop love for him. Giving up all other practices, just worship me alone with faith. Sounds like Bhagavad Gita, doesn't it? Abandon everything else, forget it all. Just worship me alone with faith. According to one's faith, one attains the goal. As they surrender to me, I reward accordingly. Just as the people of the world perform constant actions in pursuit of their goals, you should desire to attain pure bhakti to me while meditating on me during performance of service. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskaru. I alone am the highest form among all moving and non-moving entities of the universe, since I am the most complete form of the Lord. I am unmanifest matter, and he who instigates unmanifest matter. I have bestowed my powers on you. You now possess the necessary powers for creation. O Brahma, now create the bodies for the living entities in this universe. And one last liner about his service. He's not simply concerned about the creation of population in this world, in this universe, but he feels the burning desire that all the living entities be given the Dharma, the spiritual knowledge of devotional service to the Lord, so that they can get out of this material world. And he does everything that he can, and he started his own sampradaya. His son asked for guidance and instruction, and he initiated his son Narada Muni. Narada Muni gave the same knowledge. Time won't permit, but those were 5 verses that he received in the Brahma Samhita from Krishna. And in the second canto, we have the 4 verses that are the essence of the Bhagavatam, that contain everything in the prayers that Lord Brahma said. It's homework if you want. It's really nice. The prayers were, he had questions about the creation and what have you, the Lord's position in relationship to the creation. And the Lord answered him in 4 verses, from which the entire Bhagavatam expands. So Narada gave that transcendental knowledge to Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva, if we stick to the disciplic succession, often we say Shukadeva, but he gave it to Madhva, down to Madhavinda Puri, Ishwar Puri, Chaitanya, and down, as Srila Prabhupada says in one purport, to our divine master is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. And of course, we, like on that song, the song that Bhakti Siddhanta sang, giving the disciplic succession. It's a wonderful song that sometimes you hear Bengalis sing, devotees sing. But Achyutananda added a verse at the end glorifying Srila Prabhupada, that he's the recipient of the mercy of Bhakti Siddhanta and the current representative. So we're hoping to get the mercy of Lord Brahma through the disciplic succession. We hope to imbibe the same mood of Lord Brahma, of accepting the devotional services, the penance required. Famous purport in that regard, Srila Prabhupada says, an easy life, an easygoing life and Krishna consciousness are not very conducive. They do not go well together. And that was one thing I mentioned. We should evaluate 2.5 months into this surreal experience, the COVID crisis, and we should see if we're taking advantage or if we're kind of getting slack and a little lazy in the seriousness of the opportunity of developing Krishna consciousness, pleasing Guru and Vaishnavas. Are there any questions or comments? Everybody looks to Jalangi. Yes, Prabhu, it's good to see you. What's your name again?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for a wonderful class.
Your
Myself,
name?
Nitai Chandra Nimai Das.
Nitai
Chandra Nimai.
Nitai Chandra Nimai. A dull brain can't remember that name. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Nitai Chandra.
Prabhu, as you are mentioning that all those living entities have actually fallen, had been first been posted as a Brahma.
Mm-hmm.
So we see the ratio of the living entities in the universe, in every universe, and the post is only one in one universe. Post of Brahma is only one,
yeah.
But the number of living entities are almost unlimited. So,
Almost?
Like
Inconceivably so, aren't they?
Yeah. So, like how it could happen? Like they are continuously falling and taking the post of Brahma and getting into the universe, or all of a sudden, like it's inconceivable for me. Can you please explain like some little more?
I knew somebody who was listening and not asleep might ask that question. I even hesitate even sharing it, but it's such an incredible purport Srila Prabhupada has. It's in the 4th canto. The living entity first takes the post of Brahma when coming to this material world. So my Prabhu will smile when I use the old, why that's inconceivable card. How do you explain it? It's inconceivable. How do you do the math? That's inconceivable. My spiritual master says it. It's in his purport. I accept it. Everything about the Lord is achintya. It is. It's just out of his mercy and the mercy of his representatives. They give us some little tiny glimpse of the glories of the unlimited Lord. So we think we have some understanding, but we have no understanding. What we can aspire for is to understand and act in our relationship with Krishna. That we can fully understand if we have the proper desire. And the Lord is certainly wanting, the representative of the Lord is certainly wanting to give us that knowledge, to give us the service, to give us the bliss, of which there is no higher, the one verse said, than this devotional, loving service to Krishna. So, yeah, I'm not going to satisfy your curiosity in regards to that statement. I hope Maharaj will illuminate.
We could argue that, well,
Use the microphone.
there are unlimited numbers of universes. And so, if you say, and also, how many souls are leaving the spiritual world and coming? I don't think there's unlimited souls leaving the spiritual world, coming into this material world.
I'm going to say there is a verse in one of the Puranas that says how many living entities are in this universe. Believe it or not, I saw it, and I didn't write it down, and I didn't commit it, but it said X amount of living entities. So I think that's a correct statement, that it's not unlimited in the universe. And the problem with your supposition, now this is another perspective, is, well, in those unlimited universe, there's also X amount of living entities. It seems like there's always more living entities than there are Brahma. Well, the Lord can juggle that. He works it out.
But how many of them are leaving the spiritual world? You know, I don't think that's unlimited.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Thank you for sharing it, Maharaj. Does that help at all? Nitai Chandra,
Thank you so much. Yes, Prabhu. I got the answer.
It's nice that you asked. Hare Krishna. Can you hand her the mic, please? Her, Vasanta Ranjani.
I was just going to say, there's billions of universes.
What's that?
Billions of universes.
One more time.
Billions of universes.
Okay.
Billions of living entities in each universe.
Okay.
And a Brahma stays for, was it 311 billion years his lifetime? 300 billion years. Over.
Trillion. 311 trillion, 40
years.
billion.
That's just when he first comes in. So how long have we been here?
The living entity. It's a frightful, horrifying thought how long we've been in this material world.
Well, you can fix it at 300 trillion, in case we was Brahma in a last lifetime, but probably not. So he must have been here a long time.
Thank you. Nitya Bada.
Prabhu, you said that Brahma realized his mistake, like in the middle of his life, and never committed again. But we hear every day, Krishna comes every day of Brahma.
We do hear that.
And then he committed this mistake every day, or how?
I wonder. I did think that. I mean, I had, well, how should I answer this? Do you want to jump in on this? That verse where he realized him in the middle of his life puts a point in his life. The Gopaltapani Upanishad, it marks down a point in his life when he said, I realized my master. in this pastime. Now, the Bhagavatam more or less follows the same plot, but there are variances. I mean, my source is not so credible, but I think it's from the Mahabharata. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I remember when I first came to India and they had those comic books of the Mahabharata and all the different pastimes. So I saw one where they had Parikshit Maharaj hiding from the snake bird, making every effort he could to avoid the bite. And yet, the snake, I forget his name, Tarksha, I knew, thank you, Tarksha, he rendered service to one sage, got a blessing, took shelter in a fruit by the arrangement of the sage, and was brought to Parikshit and jumped out and bit him and gave up his body. Not the Leela we hear for in our day of Brahma. In a day of Brahma, 1,000 Chatur Yugas, Satya, Treta, Dwapara, Kali. 1,000 Kalis in one day of Brahma, Kali Yuga. And in this Kali Yuga, not what we hear taking place. But when we stop and think about the incredible good fortune that we are surrounded by, this is when Krishna himself came. It's when Lord Chaitanya himself, Krishna Chaitanya came, not Chaitanya Narayan Chaitanya, Krishna Chaitanya. Vyasadeva is Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas. He's Krishna himself. One purport in the first canto, he says he's not an expansion, he's Krishna. So Krishna took up the role of Vyasadeva. And one devotee, I can't quote the reference, but I've heard it since forever, and I asked my Prabhus, and they even had a name of the devotee that asked Srila Prabhupada. But Srila Prabhupada says, as we heard in Brahma Samhita, a jiva takes the post of Brahma. He becomes empowered. He becomes a guna avatar. He didn't even go that direction. The four Kamaras seem as non-different from the Lord, Mahapurusha and Brahma, two forms of the same Lord for the pastimes, for the pleasure of the Lord, guna avatar. And anyway, Srila Prabhupada says that when there is not a qualified jiva to take up this service, this is some pretty heavy duty service, when there's not one, then the Lord himself steps in and does the service himself. He becomes Brahma. And we know also in the Bhagavatam, there's also a couple of instances when some Manus were also Krishna. There wasn't a qualified jiva to take up the service of Manu. That's nothing compared to Brahma. But one devotee asked, is our Brahma Krishna? And the way I heard it was, Srila Prabhupada said yes. So that puts a whole nother, like, whoa, it's all stacked up where it's the most auspicious. We're in the midst of the most auspiciousness. Anybody want to comment on that last statement I made about Brahma? In private, some devotees will admit, I heard that. Yeah, I've heard that. I even heard the name of the devotee who asked. But take it lightly, because I don't have the reference. But anyway, he's a pure devotee. Lord Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I'd rather be an insect than a non-devotee Brahma. Insect in the house of a devotee, that is. So our Brahma is the head of our sampradaya and a great preacher. He was someone who appreciated Srila Prabhupada, who would come and hear Srila Prabhupada give lectures, etc. We know that because Srila Prabhupada asked him to make a Vyasasan for him in the Berry Place temple. So, all glories to Lord Brahma. Anything else? Did that help you at all, Vasanti? Not really, but I said enough that maybe you would have forgotten what you Yes?
Prabhuji obeisances to your lotus feet. So manifesting this pastime for Brahma is only a moment. But my mathematics is not so good. I cannot calculate. So the Vrindavan's inhabitants, they are calculating the time according to the human time. And then so they got the association of Krishna's expansions for the whole year. Is that true? And then
one line, what did you just, the essence of the question was who got Krishna's association for 1 year? The Brajavasis.
Brajavasis.
Yes, that's correct.
And then if we, according to our calculation, our 1 year is like approximately how much time in the spiritual world from Sitala Devi Dasi? Our 1 year in the spiritual world.
1 year here? Oh God, it's nothing. I mean, this whole creation, the 311 trillion, 40 billion years for Mahavishnu. Just Mahavishnu. We're not talking about Goloka time. We're talking about Mahavishnu lying on the cosmos ocean. It's just that's it. And there's another 311 trillion, 40 billion years our time. There you go, another 311. It's nothing. There is no time as we know it in Goloka. I mean, that's also another beautiful glorification, where every step is a dance, where every word is a song, where water is the most tasty nectar. So in the purport, Jiva Goswami says, so can you imagine what real dancing looks like in Goloka? If walking looks like dancing, imagine what the dancing looks like. If speaking is like a song, imagine when they sing. If water tastes like nectar, imagine what the nectar in Goloka Vrindavan tastes like. That should arouse our thirst and our desire to go find out. Sri Goloka Vrindavan Dham ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Samaveda Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Gaur Premanandi.